You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Of course, it's Tech Thursday, so that means Marsha Collier joins us. Marsha, how you doing this evening?
I'm just doing great, and Mo, I have to tell you, your listeners are so loyal. I actually got fan mail after last week's show.
Look, there's nothing wrong with that. Fan mail, hate mail, as long as they keep on listening. That's all I want.
That's right. Absolutely.
You remember earlier this week, I want to say it was Monday at the beginning of the week, you had that huge Verizon outage. Customers across the U.S. reported problems accessing the company's wireless network. I assume it was a hack or data breach of some sort. Look, we can always speculate, but what do we know?
There's a problem with that. It's a real problem. Tens of thousands of people in the area, from Chicago, Indianapolis, all the way down to Phoenix, Nebraska, Omaha. They did not have service. These are the people who need service. And SOS appeared in the status bars of iPhones if the device is not connected to a cellular network. So, and supposedly it can still make calls, but no, not on the Verizon network. I think this points out that we need an alternate mode of talking to people, of getting help.
What about the idea of like an emergency backup system, which is used for situations just like this, where it may not accommodate anything as far as internet, but it'll accommodate people making calls for the purpose of an emergency? This is the same week as Hurricane Helene.
This is disaster. This is a complete disaster. One of the things that I do, and it's important to me, is I keep an older phone. I have it connected to Wi-Fi, and I can text. I can make calls through WhatsApp, which is an excellent app, or Google Voice. What do you use? Any alternates?
Yes, I use Google Voice, and like you, I have backup phones, plural, that hook up to any Wi-Fi. And for those who don't know, text messages take up less bandwidth. It's easier for those to slip through in an emergency situation. Remember, we discussed this last week about what to do if you're stranded in some remote area. Well, people are now stranded in their own houses, seemingly.
Have you ever been in a hurricane?
No, that's why I live in California. I actually talked about that on the show last Friday. I said, with great respect to the people who are dealing with the hurricane, part of the reason why I never moved from California is there are certain things I didn't want to deal with. I did want to deal with inclement weather. I did not want to deal with tornadoes. I did not want to deal with hurricanes. Yes, earthquakes are a great unknown, but fewer people die in them, comparatively speaking, than any other natural emergency.
I felt so horrible for the people. Their houses were in sticks, literally.
Yes.
It was horrible. I grew up on Miami Beach, so I know a lot about hurricanes, and all of Miami Beach would flood. I worked at the Miami Herald, and it would be flooded up to 3 blocks away from the newspaper. And when your car gave up the ghost, you couldn't drive any deeper. You would just get out of your car, slog through the wet. And in the lobby of the Miami Herald, John Knight had a setup with screens and the whole thing, and extra pressman's jumpsuits. So you'd get to change clothes when you got to work. And we were the lucky ones because newspapers have to come out every day.
Right.
But everywhere else, I also remember flooding in my neighborhood. And when the eye of the hurricane went over, the streets were filled with flopping fish. And of course, people were coming outside with their frying pans.
Well, I was always aware of the fact that alligators are everywhere in Florida. And when you have that massive flooding, that means the alligators are going everywhere as well. So the water can be very dangerous.
Oh, yeah, but I never saw an alligator in Miami Beach, but then that's Miami Beach. It's kind of, we don't let alligators on Miami Beach. They're across on the city side in the lagoons. But, this is a terrifying thing. And the thing is, the news always whoops it up worse than it could possibly be and totally terrifies people.
The only problem with that is, with all due respect, we also know that it can be very dangerous after the hurricane.
Absolutely. And they can't prepare for having their house blown over.
Right.
They can't prepare for their roof being blown off and the entire house saturated with rainstorm. I've known people who's had to replace carpeting and God knows what in their house. It's a horrible thing. But earthquakes, we kind of get the little beep on the phone now.
We
the
do.
Ground shakes.
Yeah, whole 3 seconds of notice. But going back to the story, this highlights how important and essential our phone communication can be for moments just like these.
Well, I think most importantly is, like you said, have a backup. Absolutely have a backup. I mean, in our emergency kit with the earthquake, because I had such a horrible time in the Northridge earthquake, I even have a radio where you can broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have these things. We need to make our homes emergency safe. We just have to.
Going back to the Verizon down period, and again, we'll get more information, I'm sure, regardless of whatever the first report is, we'll get more information in the coming weeks about what happened, why, how extensive. But my question to you, Marsha Collier, is does this signify that our infrastructure is exceptionally vulnerable and fragile, or is it something else?
Well, just think about our electricity. I mean, honestly. Not DWP in Los Angeles, but the other one, further north of us. They've been having outages on and off and on and off.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just fragile. That's a fail. And for how many years have we been paying taxes to rebuild our infrastructure? I mean, it always says that, you know, and like our problems with the schools. Oh, yeah, the lottery is to feed the schools. Uh-huh. Where does all that money go?
Oh, you're waiting for me to answer? Because I couldn't tell you. All I know is that more money has been pumped in and less output and less reliability in response.
Which is why we, as citizens, need to be, unfortunately, more responsible for our own safety. Just like buying new tires on a car.
The takeaway is make sure you have backup devices. You have your emergency kits that you are prepared for any eventuality as best you can, because you don't know when disaster might strike. Even if they tell you that it's coming in the form of a hurricane or some sort of major storm in the next week. When we come back, let's get into this merger of DirecTV and Dish. When this story broke also earlier this week, it blew my mind because once again, you think that you have a choice, but you really don't. It's all the same
I have
company.
Dish TV, so.
And so now you have DirecTV as well.
Yeah.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly and Marsha Collier. We're both live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And you know by now a huge telecom deal came down. DirecTV, Dish, I would say two of the preeminent cable providers in the country are now coming together to form one super telecommunications company. What it means for you, what it means for me, it remains to be seen, because even if you have a streaming platform, most likely they are a subsidiary of one of these cable giants. Marsha Collier, when the news came down for you and you saw it back on Monday, what first came to mind?
Well, first of all, I have Dish. I like Dish. The only reason I keep Dish is because their technology is really good, believe it or not. But more and more people, you know, we have broken the cable and we have a lot of over-the-air content at our house. But this is something that is a big deal because remember, DirecTV is owned by EchoStar. Now, EchoStar is worth a lot of money, and they have $30 billion in wireless spectrum investments. And then that means they went at one time to an FCC auction. The Federal Communication System auctions off segments of the spectrum for people to use so you could start your own phone company. They own that. So I'm seeing maybe EchoStar will be the new wireless carrier for a lot of people, or maybe they'll specialize in something. But if you think about a lot of the other networks, Comcast only has 13.2 million video subscribers. That's not a lot. DirecTV has about 11 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Dish TV has 8.1 million. The only thing is it's subject to the government's passing this, and I don't see why they wouldn't, because I think everybody deserves it. DirecTV and Dish also are including Sling TV.
That's me.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah, Sling originally is a division of Dish, and so I was wondering if we were going to be folded in, so yes, we are.
Bingo. Now, supposedly, this is going to happen in the second half of 2025.
Here's the question, and most likely the deal will go through, but we do know the federal government, at least this administration, has been more strict than others when it comes to at least perceived antitrust monopoly mergers. They've broken up a few, they've prevented a few, so I'm not going to say that there's a foregone conclusion. Go ahead, you were saying, though.
Well, these are the only satellite providers. I think that's the difference. Now, you've got Starlink. If Elon ever decided to bounce TV off of Starlink, which would seem to be a natural progression eventually.
Agreed.
He could wipe everybody out. But you have cable, your Frontier, your Spectrum, all that. And cable is great and reliable, but so is satellite. And satellite really is the future. I mean, even airlines now are switching to Wi-Fi from satellites versus whatever it is, they're bouncing to the land and the whole thing. So, yeah, I think this is important, and I think they will pass it, or they'll just let it hang and let the next administration do it. I mean, that's, I don't know how to play political games, but I think that's how they're played.
Yeah, there's a calculation that's being made, because if the deal's not supposed to be consummated until early 2025, we will have a new president, a new administration, and I'm sure, no, but it's still, I mean, even if Kamala Harris wins, it's still a different administration. So it still figures into the calculations of when they want to finish this deal.
Exactly. And I think everybody will benefit from it because it will make it a stronger network. And like I said, Dish's technology, I love it. The one thing I love about Dish technology is I can stop a show in one room, pick it up in another room of the house, the DVR. But then again, I have DVR from Tableau, which works with a little antenna in the window, and I can get local news and things like that. And that's another thing we have to consider. We were talking about preparedness before. Maybe having those antennas that only cost about $10 and an inexpensive system that will allow you to get over-the-air programs, you'll be able to get your local news in an emergency when cable or satellite go down.
Not including KFI AM 640, one of those very important outlets for breaking news during an emergency. So, just had to.
Well, I actually have. I am sounding like such a crazy person. I actually have one of those radios that you can crank to charge the battery.
I have a crank radio as well.
Too?
I swear to you, I do. I am so old school. Yes.
That isn't old school. That is when there's no electricity. We also have a giant Goal Zero battery, a giant one, that when we did have a power outage, we just rolled out the refrigerator, plugged it into the Goal Zero, and we would have had power for 3 days for just the refrigerator.
Well, we still have a generator. We'll probably upgrade to a battery soon.
Well, the cool thing about the battery thing is we have solar panels that you can plug into it and put outside, and it'll charge while it's discharging. So, in other words, you can charge something and charge it at the same time.
I love technology.
Especially if it helps people, and we're given the right to use it at a reasonable price. Because our electric grid, we're talking about everything here on the electric grid.
Right.
Look around you.
Well, if our infrastructure is not where it needs to be in the next 5 years or so, we're going to have a bunch more problems that we're not ready for.
Oh, well, we're busy with a whole lot of other problems that we're not going to go into politics here, but it seems to me that's not at the top of the list.
Infrastructure never is, unfortunately. Marsha, I got to run, and I know you're probably going to be doing some traveling sometime soon, but hopefully we'll be able to do this again in person.
I will be over in England, and I will download all the apps that I can't download here. I'm bringing 3 phones and updating apps, and we'll talk more about the differences between the EU and the US when I get back.
Look forward to it.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI AM 640. It's Later with Mo Kelly, and we're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. KFI's own Heather Brooker is not only a news anchor for the station, she's a resident nerd like the rest of us here on the show. So much so that this weekend she's serving as our official nerd correspondent, covering LA Comic-Con, which returns this weekend to the LA Convention Center. And with that, Heather, take it away.
LA Comic-Con returns to the LA Convention Center in downtown LA this weekend. And if you're a fan of characters, comics, or cosplay, then this is the event for you. Joining me now to talk about the star-studded event this weekend is LA Comic-Con CEO Chris DeMoulin. I am absolutely thrilled to talk to you this year because you have some huge stars coming to LA Comic-Con this year.
Well, I mean, every year when we finish the show, we always do a survey of the fans and say, who haven't we brought in yet that you'd love to see? And there are a couple of names that were always in that top 5, and Ewan and Hayden Christensen and Michael J. Fox were always in that top 5. And this just happened to be a year where we, reached out really early to Ewan's agent, and he was free, and we booked him, and we were talking to Hayden's agent about somebody else, and he said, "Hey, I heard that you guys got Ewan, Hayden could be free that weekend." We're like, absolutely. And then the Michael J. Fox thing worked out in a similar way. And then when Christopher Lloyd came in for that, and we had been talking to Christina Ricci separately, when one of our meetings, somebody said, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun if we could get Angelica Houston to come and do an Addams Family reunion?" And she doesn't really do cons, but we reached out to her agent, and because she's local, she's like, "Sure, that sounds like fun."
Let's talk about some of the big panels and reunions that people can look forward to seeing.
Well, I mean, I think the Addams Family one will be super fun and big and unexpected, and the kind of thing that you may never see anywhere else again, just because Angelica is not a frequent con goer. Although who knows, she may love it and decide that she wants to join the circuit. But I also think we love, as you said, leaning into the Star Wars thing, having Ewan and Emily Swallow for Obi-Wan, having Giancarlo and Paul to do Mandalorian. And then kind of the what I think of as the old fashioned LA Comic-Con kind of panel, like the voice cast of Avatar and the voice cast of new X-Men 97.
Let's talk about what you guys are doing for the gamers this year. My daughter loves video games. She jokingly calls herself a gamer at the ripe old age of 11 years old. What can your video gamers expect to experience this year?
Well, your daughter will be thrilled because, in the gaming hall on Saturday from 1 till 6 is the finals of a Fortnite tournament that's for female gamers only. It's being sponsored by Gonna Need Milk. It's called the Milk Cup, and it has a $250,000 prize pool. And it was really driven by their realization that 46% of all self-described gamers, like your daughter, are women. But only 2% of the top earners in the industry were women. And so as a way to sort of try and redress that balance, they decided to do a series of competitions that were only for female gamers and sort of increase the profile and the spotlight of that. And they chose us to be the location for the final, which was in person. The early rounds were online. So that will be really fun because 99 of the best female gamers in the world, many of whom are closer in age to your daughter than to any of us, we'll be fighting it out for 5 hours across 3 rounds to accumulate the points to win.
Yeah, I love that. Well, one of our favorite things to do every year when we go is we love to watch all of the cosplay. We love to see people dressed up, really embracing their fandom. And I think it's so special that we have this wonderful event here in Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world, where people get to really invest in their cosplay and their costumes. Tell me a little bit about what kind of things the cosplay community can experience this year.
We're just a great place to come in your cosplay and have a good time. I think a lot of the families that come, it's a great opportunity for their kids to this year get their Halloween costumes early and come out and have some fun in them. We, of course, have the Cosplay National Championships that are Saturday night. And this is I think the 8th or 9th year in a row that we've done that. That prize pool's up to $30,000. So it's one of the biggest cosplay prize pools. And we have people coming from all over the world that have competed in the earlier rounds and are now coming in for the semifinals and finals live at the show. We always have a kids cosplay contest on Sunday, which is, just a little more fun for the kids to come in costume and for a couple of hundred of them gets a chance to get up on stage and wave at mom and dad and get the picture taken. So I think, about a third, we think between 30 and 35% of the people who come to our show come in some version of cosplay.
And now, of course, it wouldn't be Comic-Con without the artists and the writers who create the comic books. And you're going to have over 1,000 artists and vendors there. Tell me a little bit about that.
We do. I mean, we have the largest artist alley this year we've ever had. It's almost 600 artists. It's so big that we split it. We're going to have a big artist alley in South Hall, but we're going to have another 100 or 150 artists that are in West Hall. And we've tried to work with the artists to get those artists whose art style and sort of taste is a little more anime and game, graphic driven. So we can get those artists over in that hall and the general artists over here. The engine of this town is creation. It's the creators. And so whether we're celebrating them in Artist Alley, we're celebrating them in the mix, which is where the young developers are, or in some of the panels that we have, because we have the main stage panels, but we have another 150, 160 panels with all sorts of creators that are happening upstairs in the panel rooms during the course of the whole weekend. So it's really important to us because that reflects what LA is, right? We're a creative town. We're kind of the ultimate mashup of creativity across every genre, gaming and streaming and TV and movies and music. And so we want to make sure that there's an avenue for those folks to come and express their creativity.
Okay, so are there any tickets left? Can we still go? Is it too late?
I want to just say, there are always tickets left.
We cannot wait to go. It's such a great event for the whole family and especially people who are into pop culture and this fandom. So, Krista Moulin, thank you so much as always for your time and congrats on another exciting and successful LA Comic-Con.
Well, thank you, Heather. It's always a pleasure to see you. Take care.
Thank you for that, Heather. It's Later with Mo Kelly. On the other side of the break, we'll remind you of the most exclusive, the coolest, and spookiest party in the history of KFI, which is on the horizon. The Later with Mo Kelly pre-Halloween soiree and how you might be able to get tickets.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And I've heard from some of you who've hit me on social media at Later with Mo Kelly on Instagram, or you've hit me on Threads at Mr. Mo Kelly. You've wondered like, hey, Mo, I'm hearing about this party, but I'm not seeing it anywhere online. I went to the KFIAM640.com website. Didn't see anything there. Didn't see anything on your social media. What's going on? And I said, that's correct. You are not going to find out about this party online, and not yet at least, because it is for our peoples. Twala, am I wrong? Is it just for us, or is it just for us?
It's literally just for us. And if anyone listening has been paying attention, we've told you how you're going to be getting in. We have something we do every Friday night like clockwork, one of the most popular segments on all of KFI, and that's how we are giving these tickets away.
And if you're wondering, well, how long are you going to be doing this? Well, we're doing this up until the date of the party, which is October 30th, the day before Halloween, obviously. It's a pre-Halloween soiree. We're bringing you to the Honda Studios here at iHeartMedia. What do you mean the Honda Studios? Well, here at the station, we have a special performance room. Sometimes at different stations, they'll bring in artists to perform live. You'll have parties up there, but we have this big space which will seat, I don't know, anywhere from 80 to 100 people at least, not to mention people will be there for standing room, and you will get to see a live version of Later with Mo Kelly. We will have celebrity guests. We'll have friends of the station. We'll have KFI personalities. It'll be you and your guests and costumes, Halloween festivities. Did I forget anything, T?
No, I actually love the costume part. And with costumes, I think we have to have some prizes for those costumes, because I know we just got in some new swag too.
That's right. We will be giving away t-shirts. We'll be giving away keychains. There will be some coffee mugs for winners. We have all sorts of cool stuff. You've probably seen it online, and we did not have a lot to give away prior to this moment, but we will have plenty to give away to you because you are our family. You are our special listeners. You have rolled with us since the beginning, and we want to make sure that this is made available for the people who have been most supportive over these almost 2 years now. Now, you may hear about this from other people, but the only way you're going to get to go to this party is to keep on listening and participating in some game show that we should do every single week here. Should we have a theme tomorrow, Tuwala? What do you think?
You know, it's the beginnings of October. This is a Halloween themed party, costumes galore. Maybe we should set it off with some type of Halloween theme for tomorrow night.
I think that would be a great idea. So those who listen to Later with Mo Kelly every single week know exactly what we're talking about, when we're talking about it, and why we are talking about it. So if you need any more hints, then shame on you. The theme will be Halloween movies tomorrow at the appointed time. And that's the only way you're going to get in this party. I'm telling you, we've had people who work at the station that's like, Mo, you guys are throwing a party. I even heard from the Fork reporter yesterday, and he didn't know. And he went wild when I told him about it, because this is going to be the hottest ticket in town, because you can't get it anywhere. You can't get it everywhere. I can't wait. I'm excited, and I already know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to be. I know that I'm going to be at the party. Look,
you've already got your theme together.
I'm pretty sure. I'm deciding between one or two things.
See, I'm really digging into my mental Halloween recesses to think of something so original, so stellar, that every single person walking into our exclusive pre-Halloween kickoff is just floored.
And I know there are going to be some mad people, because they're going to say, wait a minute, I've always liked you, Mo. But you got to keep listening consistently. Well, I've listened to you since the Mo Kelly show. That's nice. We appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. We love all the support. But this is all about Later with Mo Kelly. The people who've been listening to us, the people who have been actively supporting us on social media, who join in every single, let's say, Friday night to play a game or something like that. It's specifically for those individuals. So do not look for this at KFIAM640.com. Do not look for this on maybe my social media at Mr. Mo Kelly. Do not look for this on the show's social media at Later with Mo Kelly, because you will not find anything. You will just have to listen and trust that I'm telling you the truth right now, because there's not going to be any type of external validation or confirmation or affirmation that this spooky party is going to happen on October 30th at the Honda Studios here at iHeartMedia. You're not going to find it anywhere. You're just going to have to know, because I'm telling you, because Tuwala's telling you. And if you should happen to run into Mark Ronner, he's looking at me strange. Yes, Mark, you can tell people too. Stefan, he may tell you, but it has to come from someone who's actually connected to the show, because we haven't really even divulged this to all the other on-air staff here. I haven't had a chance to talk about it with Bill. He may want to come.
Oh, wow.
I haven't talked to Gary and Shannon, but they've heard about it. They may want to come. Tim Conway Jr., he knows about it. He'll probably come because he always supports us in anything that we do. John Cobell, he'll probably know about it. That's all I can say. But it's going to be a time.
Yeah.
It's going to be a grand old time. And it's on you to make sure that you're part of the festivities. We will make announcements as confirmations come in about who else is going to be in the house, but a lot of it we're going to hold back because it is a surprise. It is exclusive, and we want people who come here to know that they are entering a very, very special place, that they're going to find out things before other people do. And you know what? I don't know, Tuwala. Should we live stream this? Should we give everyone the opportunity, or only for the people in the house and just make everyone mad and say, see, you should have been there?
You know what? I'm not mad at the idea or the concept of live streaming because of all the costumes, because of all the people dressed up. And I think everyone listening needs to be able to see how fly this is, so that way they know next year when we do it again, they know for sure they better join in.
Well, you may not want to miss the first one because nothing's like the first time. So that's all we can say. You have been forewarned, and now you have been prepared to get ready for next month's pre-Halloween soiree, courtesy of Later with Mo Kelly at the Honda Studios here at iHeartMedia. It's not going to be in the little studio where you see on the Instagram Live. No. It's a big to-do. It's a big room with a lot of food, a lot of drink, a lot of costumes. And now all we need is a lot of you. KFI AM 640, we are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Common sense left California a long time ago. We're bringing it back.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.